Hey, this is Ryan from Muscle Without Meltdown with a daily yap. I'm going to try to have a video on Thursday covering the next chapter from my book. But for today, I would like to talk about meltdowns and really not in the context of the gym or anything, just a general idea that I've had kicking around for a long time, something that I struggle with a lot, um, being as that I didn't know I was neurodivergent for 2/3 of my life. No, wait, three quarters, three quarters. Um, Meltdowns are not your fault, and you need to not beat yourself up for them, feel guilty about them, dwell on them in any sort of self-flagellating way. Don't beat yourself up over them. Is the simplest way to put it. Um, that is something I've really struggled with my whole life, and some of that is put on me. Actually, a lot of it by just growing up, not knowing I had these issues. So everyone involved with me in my life just assumes that um, this person is now just choosing to have no patience and to be a hothead and to turn into an asshole or be explosive. And they're doing it because it brings them pleasure and they want to make me uncomfortable and make my life difficult. I mean, unfortunately, I don't want to plant in your mind that that's how the entire world views us, and I'm sure it's getting better, but that is definitely how I felt, my whole life. And to this day, 40 years old, I'm still like working on that. I would say I've been working on it mostly for the past several years, right? Um, Now, my opinion on all this is that, I mean, it's a deterministic process, and it's something that happens because your own internal resources or capacity aren't there. They're tapped out. And then the external stimulus, possibly combined with whatever um, internal reaction, like psychological reaction you have to it, all these factors, combine and add up to create that perfect storm. And in that moment, it is not right or correct to blame the neurodivergent person for that meltdown. I would say that the way we need to look at it for ourselves is in terms of, okay, since I know that once it pops off, I'm screwed, what can I do with my environment and my routine and all that to minimize the likelihood of that happening? And the harsh reality is, and something you also need to accept, is that there's not going to be a total escape from it. You need to expect that you're going to have meltdowns sometimes, you're going to go into shutdown sometimes, and that's just part of life. It doesn't actually reflect on your moral character at all, no matter how you've been made to feel. And something I want to point out, and I've seen it plenty of times, is that neurotypical people have full-blown meltdowns too. And the only difference is that for them, their capacity to reach that point where they can no longer process their emotions and thoughts in the world around them, their threshold's just so much higher, so they seldom reach it. But I've definitely seen it. I think we all have. So it's unfair really to think that it's just us. We're just going to experience it a lot more often over more minor things. But let me get a drink real quick. If you guys could leave a comment and let me know how you experience, I want to say, not sensory input, but kind of like emotional, the processing of your emotions, how you experience that. Because what I notice for me is that relatively minor things, stuff that rationally I know are not a big deal, maybe they startled me, were totally unexpected, threw off my plan, whatever it is, these minor things feel much bigger. And then something that's genuinely big, like if somebody dies or something, I just go blank, almost like this disassociative thing. And I don't actually feel it till months or even years later does it hit me in more of a normal fashion. And I think my point with that is the amount of overwhelm that we're feeling when we go into a meltdown is probably the same as a neurotypical person. It just takes them so much more to get to that point because they're not having their experience filtered through this amplifier basically that increases the processing cost, tenfold or whatever it is for you. I did write some notes on this because I didn't want to miss any important points. But the guilt is only going to make your life harder, and actually, it only perpetuates the meltdown and the recovery from the meltdown because you're having to try to process all those negative thoughts. Now, whether or not we control our thoughts, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole really, but without touching that, I would say when you're having those negative thoughts, if you can, you're better off to try to do some meditative thing where you count your breath, or even just distract yourself with video games or take a nap or something. Really, anything is better than stewing on the situation. If you have the energy and the enthusiasm to do it, there's a lady called Byron Katie who is perhaps a little kooky, but she does have just a good method for kind of releasing these stories and stuff we tell ourselves, and it's a process you go through with kind of journaling and things to let go of these ideas that you ultimately kind of piece together, and that's the exercise. You kind of see how they're just nonsense that you are believing. So that's an option. There's another thing called the Sedona method. And honestly, guys, I've only kind of dabbled in those. I did have some success with them, but really, I'm just being my own worst enemy still. I think I will probably, I'm running a channel on this, but I'm still learning with you guys how to manage my symptoms. And lately, I've been pretty good, relatively speaking, the last couple years after being in really horrendous burnout for like 5, where I was just melting down at the drop of a hat. So right now, I feel good, but the more tools you can have in advance, the better you're going to be. So maybe don't be as lazy as me. Have a plan. Have a way to work through the emotions or at least offload them. And also, set up your day, set up your environment as best you can to minimize that and to not drain yourself of your capacity to process the world, process your life. But I think that's it. Just be kind to yourself, forgive yourself. I don't know how long it's going to take for the world at large to understand this, but know that, I think it's something like 15% of the world is supposed to be neurodivergent. So you're definitely not alone. It's just, unfortunately, we don't tend to put ourselves out there a lot. So it increases that false feeling of feeling alone, but you're not. Leave a comment. I would love to talk about some of this stuff with you guys, even though it's not related to lifting. It's obviously very important to me. So leave a comment, and I'll see you guys next time. We'll yap about something else tomorrow. I never actually got to see the Star Wars movie yesterday, so hopefully today. All right, I'll catch you guys later.